Well, I am the longest kid. Okay.
Just waiting for everyone to be entered in. And make sure you turn on your cameras.
Let me turn chat on so we can see if. There we go. So Summer and Alyssa should be on too.
All right, so hello everybody, and welcome to another virtual mentorship session with the Business Academy. It is 3 o'clock here on the East Coast, and I'm sure everyone is wondering where Ethan is, because I know he's usually the one who hosts this, but he is out on the West Coast today working with one of our doctors in their office on an in-office delivery. He would have loved to have been here, but he does give his warmest regards to everyone, so that's where he's at. And as you all know, the goal for these virtual mentorship sessions is to have as many different mentors for you to open up the conversation with for every practice. The first Tuesday of every month, we do focus on new patient and marketing strategies. The second Tuesday, which is today, we focus on the day 1, day 2 process, getting your patients to close on care faster and more effectively for cash services in your office. The third Tuesday, which will be next week, we will focus on front desk, patient scheduling, compliance, and retention. And the fourth Tuesday, we focus primarily on personnel, managing a team, scaling a company, and entrepreneurial and executive tools you can use to make your team and practice better. As we get started today, just a reminder that this is about a 1-hour discussion. It could be 45 minutes, more or less, for all of you guys today. And we have our special guest, Dr. Tim Steflik, and his regional manager, Renee, to share with you their best practices of what has been working for them in their market regarding troubleshooting closes on cash services and discovering better ways to get new patients excited about saying yes to care. As we get rolling, we'll also ask you guys what are your sticking points, what services you offer, and what brick walls are you hitting based on what patients are saying. And we'll be challenging each of you to ensure that you're following each process that needs to be followed to get patients to say yes to care. So with that, let's ensure everyone's mics are working and cameras are on. I know we have at least one person who doesn't have a camera, and that's fine, but let's get Crystal, if you can get your camera on, and David, if we can get your camera on as well, that would be awesome. And then just to make sure everybody's mic is also working, Southwest Family Medical, is your guys' mic working? Can we get you guys to say hi?
Hi, Mindy.
Perfect. Love to see you guys here. Dr. Fortunato, can we see yours? Beautiful. Dylan, what about yours over there?
Yep. What's going on?
Awesome. And Jen?
Yep, we're good.
Perfect. Love to see you guys. Crystal, is your mic working? Doesn't seem like hers is working yet. What about David? How's your mic looking?
Hi, my mic's working, but this computer I don't think has a camera. Sorry about that.
Perfect. That's not a problem. And then I know ATHC, their computer doesn't have a camera, but I know they're there. And Crystal got it that you're working on it. So love having you all here. Definitely excited to work with you guys on this. So without further ado, let's get with Dr. Tim Steflik. Dr. Tim, go ahead and tell everyone about your experience with TBA from the beginning and where you are now.
So I've been with TBA for about 10 years, I think, somewhere in that. So it's been a long time. When I started with TBA, I had front desk in the billing department. We were seeing about 100 visits a week, as low as 80 a week. And since we've joined TBA, we have 4 offices. We have lots of employees, probably about, I don't know, close to 30, 25 to 30 employees. And yeah, helping lots of people, lots more patient visits a week, and lots more help that we're doing to our community. So yeah, we've grown a lot over the years. It's been a very consistent, steady growth. So it wasn't like it was just boom, happened all overnight. But every year we were adding more employees, we were adding more locations, we were just improving bit by bit, little by little. So someone says having a hard time hearing. Is there a microphone? Where's our microphone?
Microphone is on the camera.
That's on the camera over there.
Just gotta talk louder.
Bring the camera closer, but let's go closer. Can you hear me now? ATHC?
It does sound a little bit better to me. Does anyone else can anyone else hear
I'll
him
just come
better?
Closer to the camera.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, good. All right. Thank you, Dr. Tim. And then let's hear from Renee about what services you guys deliver and your office's statistics with closing patients to saying yes to their care.
We're an integrated office, so we do have nurse practitioners in our offices. We do regenerative medicine, neuropathy, treat neuropathy patients. We do decompression, so a whole bunch of stuff all packed together. So the more services that we have, the more we can offer the patients.
Perfect. And then what would you say your closing percent is, or how many patients you're getting in and closed on care every week?
It depends. Well, if you look at the new case managers that we have, of course, their closing percentage is going to be low, but we always strive to each week to look at their percentages and make sure they're going in an up range. So as a whole, for all 4 offices, our closing rate is anywhere between 70 and 90%.
That's fantastic. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you both for that. So now I just want to check in with some of you guys. So let's start with Dr. Taylor, Chelsea, Southwest Family Medical. What services do you guys deliver at your practice?
We are an integrated model too, so we have medical, physical therapy, hormones, decompression, radiopressor waves, platelet plasma injections. Dr. Taylor's getting us back into our stem cell realm. Just quite a few different test things, and chiropractic is bread and butter.
Awesome. All right. And Dr. Joe, what about you? What do you got in your practice?
We are chiropractic, acupuncture. We do decompression, and our closing rate is about 79–80%.
Good. That's great. All right, Dylan, what about you? What are you guys doing over there?
So yeah, we're integrated too. So we have chiro, rehab, full medical, trigger points, regenerative medicine. We haven't had a nurse in the past few months, so we've been more chiro rehab more than anything. But we just got a new nurse, so yeah, we're back on track with it. And my close percentage is about 70–75%, taken all in all.
Very good. All right, Jen, what about you?
So our office is pretty much the same, integrated, and we have most of the same services that Dylan and their team up there has. So
Okay.
Chiro, rehab, medical.
Awesome. And I see Maria just joined us. How are you doing over there?
How are you?
Doing well. All right, nice to have you with us today. So I was just asking everybody, so we can all get kind of familiar with each other's practices. So what do you guys do in your practice? What are the service centers that you have, the services you deliver?
Yeah, so we do chiropractic, obviously, and a lot of different therapy work with that. So a lot of like hands-on work, shockwave, Grafton, DMS. We do spinal decompression, massage, and then we do a lot of postural work, so CBP type stuff. And then we also do NET, neuroemotional technique, applied kinesiology, nutrition work, and then we have an acupuncturist as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. And then David, what are you guys doing at your practice? What service centers do you guys have?
Just unmuting. So chiropractic is the bread and butter, as one of your members said, spinal decompression and laser therapy.
Perfect. And then I know ATHC chimed in there. So they're also integrated with Regen services and a nurse practitioner for injections, stem cells, and Chiro as well. So we've definitely got, looks like a lot of you guys have the integrated offices, and there's a lot going on there. And then we do have several guys who are still chiropractic, acupuncture, rehab, physical therapy. So we definitely want to make sure we're encompassing all of that in our talk today. So with that being said, Dr. Tim, I wanted to ask you, so what would you say is the first step for practices that are still in network and they're afraid to offer services that are outside of insurance coverage?
So we had actually, I think last week, a phone call. They wanted to kick us out of the network because we were overutilizing, is what they were calling it. So it was a network that only covers chiropractic services. They don't cover anything else. So when a patient comes in, the only coverage they got is chiropractic, and it doesn't pay very well, right? So we're collecting the copay. When we looked at the numbers of our overutilization, we collected last year, I think we collected $42,000 in just copays from this insurance, and the insurance paid us an additional $22,000. So hardly collecting anything else in addition to the copays from this insurance. So that $42,000 is not a lot of money when you look at like a whole year of copays and everything. But what that number didn't show was the additional services we collected for that were not covered services. So like in addition to not being covered, like the laser, the decompression, the injections, all the stuff that we do in our offices, most of us are integrated. We offer those on every single care plan. And so, shockwave, whatever it is that you have. And so I mean, we stay in network with those insurances because it's really a marketing thing for us. We know we're not going to collect much from the insurance. I'd rather even not bill the insurance, but at least they come to us because, hey, you're in it. People are so brainwashed to thinking I got to use my insurance. Well, when they come in, we still take your insurance and it's saving you whatever, $200. But at least they know they're using their insurance. And so we stay in network, but we make sure that everyone that comes in, we just write the care plan. We don't look at coverage or non-coverage unless there's a specific requirement as to what we can and can't do. But that way the patient is getting what they should get and what's recommended, and we're actually going to get paid instead of relying on the $22,000 a year we get from this one insurance carrier that's probably paying us $6 for an adjustment or something. So
sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then, so do I have any of you guys here who have any questions about that or want to know, any in terms of being able to actually do what Dr. Tim was saying, making sure your care plan expands whether it's covered or not, but and handling the patient to be able to do the care plan? Cool. All right. And then Renee, what would you say is one of the key aspects to getting a patient to close on doing a care plan?
While going through TBA, we've always been taught, after that day one, make sure that patient has that burning desire to come back for their day two. So when they come in, I always, tell the case managers, always go back to that patient's ruling. So just don't jump in with the money section or anything like that, but make sure you go back, reread your questionnaire to your patients, get them back to that point that they were at in their day one. Once you get them back to that point, that's when the case managers will go over the treatment plans and then the cost.
Perfect. All right, so now raise your hand here or throw it into the chat if any of you guys have any objections that you run into from patients, but you struggle to handle those objections. You can literally raise your hand, you can throw it in the chat, you can just start talking. So what objections are your number one objections that you don't seem to be able to handle with your patients? Okay, so we've got finances. So Crystal, you can elaborate in the chat if you want a bit more. Can you elaborate in terms of, is it finances with the care plan seems to be too expensive for the patients? Is it finances they have to leave and talk to their spouse? You know, what kind of is more towards that specific objection?
I think it's a combination of both. So a lot of them maybe view the plans as a little bit more than what they thought they would be. And then also, you know, going back to going home and speaking with their spouse and so forth.
Okay, so let's take Jessica over there with Dr. Steflik's office, because you are the longest reigning case manager with Dr. Tim. So when you get objections, let's take the what Crystal said first with the it's a little bit more than what they expected it would be. How would you normally go about working to handle an objection like that?
Well, I guess it depends on what they've already been through. If they've already been through multiple providers and tried all this other stuff, you talk about the time and the money that they've already spent that hasn't worked. You know, you're going to keep putting the money out for this stuff that's not working to fix your problem. We're offering you something that's going to fix your problem. You're not going to have to keep going back to these doctors for that prescription or for them telling you that you're going to need surgery. As far as the spouse one goes, I look right at them and say, you know, doesn't your spouse know you're here? Well, yeah, I still need to talk to them. All right, I'm going to step out of the room. You give them a call. If they have any questions, open the door. I'll come in, answer their questions. But once you're finished, just open that door. Lets me know you're done.
Awesome. Good. All right, so let's take Dr. Fortunato. What issues are you running into with either handling patients on care to say yes, or financials, or just objections with the care plan itself? What do you run into over there?
So my case manager's sitting right next to me, Sheree, and you know, when this first came up, the first thing that came out of her mind was that you know, that it was more than they expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you know, I was just talking to her, which is probably why I got busted over here, but that's okay. So you know, my question was going to be, you know, okay, well, what did you think it was going to? What were your expectations on what you thought it was going to be? And then go into all the other things that were involved with it, other than what they thought it was, if that made any sense. I know that, you know, digging deeper, and that question comes up, digging deeper, and then the team always says digging deeper into what, and to try to explain digging deeper, no, it depends on what they say is where you need to go with that. So, you know, the patient says, well, that was a little bit more than I expected. Okay, boom, there's your in. What did you expect it was going to be? What did you think it was going to cover? What did you think was wrong with you? You know, and then go into that type of approach or questioning.
Okay. And then Renee or Jessica, do you guys have any input on that in terms of what you would say there or add to that?
I guess you can kind of go back to what did they put the value of their health at? You know, depending on the problem and how much it's debilitating them, you know, what have they given up? Bring it back to their ruin. You know, you can't play with your grandkids anymore. You promised them you're going to take them to Disney, but you can't walk more than 50 yards. You know, is taking your grandkids to Disney worth it? Is you being able to walk for the next 20 years worth it?
Good. All right. All right. Dylan, let's go over to you. What are some of the objections that you are running into that's been hard for you to handle?
For me, only money at this point. I feel like this is the only thing that stops me. Everything else, I feel I fine-tuned all my skills with that. It just comes down to money and me just having to figure out their budget for them. And honestly, it just comes down to me not knowing their ruin enough. It's never their budget. Honestly, unless maybe I got like a 24-year-old or someone younger like that, possibly, you know, then I might have to get parents on the phone and talk to them. But it just comes down to the ruin. If I don't find the ruin day one, the day two is just harder. So I always just go back to fine tuning my day one, making sure that's perfect. So that way the day two is just normal.
Good. And yeah, that's a perfectly valid statement there. With when you don't find that ruin, it definitely makes for a much more difficult day two and being able to actually close the patient for care. The communication and closing seminar, for example, definitely goes very deep into that, how to find the ruin, how you recognize you have the ruin, and what you can do to ensure that you get it. So, training on that will definitely help if you are struggling with getting the patient's ruin. And just as a little bit of a definition for what a ruin is, your ruin is that emotional aspect that the patient has that is essentially ruining their life, right? So it's the thing that they want to be able to do again that they either can't do or can do very little of in comparison to what they used to be able to do. So in finding that is definitely your key to being able to bring them through the day 2 and have a relatively easy objection handle to get that person to say yes to care.
Right. Yep.
All right. Let's move over to Jen. What are you guys running into at the office?
Oops. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I guess maybe one of the ones that has kind of come up a little bit is either somebody says, like, I just had one where they were interested, but we're getting surgery the following week, and it was like a weight loss type of surgery, not necessarily for their pain that they were having somewhere else. So they were kind of like, no, this surgery's already been scheduled. I can't do anything right now, but maybe I will look at it after I recover from surgery. So that's one thing that I've seen. And then the second one I see sometimes is, well, I'm going to be out of town on vacation. It's summer. I'm gone for 2 weeks. I'm back for a week and a half, and then I'm leaving for another week. So I can't put all the time into this care plan of what's needed.
Okay. All right, Edgewater office, what do we got for that?
What I would do with that one is when you close that patient, get them right out that day and get them started on treatment. I'll take them to the front desk. I'll tell them, all right, so you're going to be leaving in 2 weeks. So you're going to come in 3 times a week for this 2 weeks. You're going to go on vacation. And then 2 weeks out, you're going to come back and we're going to pick up where you left off. So I always make sure those are excuses. And yeah, they might be going out of town, but definitely get those patients started that day when you close them. That way that's a commitment to them. And then when they come back, they know they have to come back. The treatment's already paid for, they've already started, and they know they're going to have to finish it.
Okay, so that's in regards to the vacation. Dr. Steflik, I'm curious on your take in terms of, she mentioned the patient's going to have a surgery in a week and a half. As a doctor, what would you be looking at in that regard?
Yeah, I would, it's kind of similar to the vacation because it's all you're looking at it as is a disruption in the schedule, right? So I get the mentality sometimes people have like, I can't think about anything else until after the surgery. Well, why were they here now? Why did they bother to even show up then if they're not going to start something before surgery? Was it just because I just wanted to kind of get an idea? So after surgery, and then, yeah, I would just say, let's go ahead and get you started now because it's going to help to get something done. And then we'll just pick up right as soon as we can after your surgery. So just, assumptively go with that because, they showed up for a reason, right? They drove all the way back to your office for a day 2. They knew they were going to be presented with something for treatment. So they already knew that knowledge was already there. It wasn't like a surprise, like, oh, hey, I'm going to do a care plan now. And they already knew about the surgery as well. So, it's kind of that same thing with the expectations. Like I didn't expect it was going to be that much. If you can get some of those expectations on the first visit and then drop some hints as to what it's going to be, like even on our day 1, when we did this today with a neuropathy patient this morning, we started dropping hints about the cost before we even get to the cost. So that way it's not a total surprise on the expectation level of how much it actually costs. If you say, well, it's going to be $200 or it's going to be $300 a month, or if it's going to be whatever, that's going to be the expectations. But you say, sometimes this treatment can cost thousands of dollars and that's not covered by insurance. Then when you get to the finances, the expectations are already there, right? They're not totally shocked. So I think you could do something similar with the expectations of like, hey, what did you expect when you came to the office? Do you want it you came because you want to get better. So let us get you better. I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's move over to Maria. What do you guys have as your number one objection you guys have that you guys struggle handling?
Yeah, just really quick, I was just gonna say I really loved that about dropping the hints early because I feel like it's almost like such a secret and such a surprise when the money comes that actually helps to just like create this like trust a little bit too. That you're not trying to hide anything. It's like really upfront. So I like that. And I would just say same thing for us, it's the money. We also have I think pretty like intensive care. We incorporate a lot of treatments with our treatment protocol. So I think sometimes people might feel like, oh, that's like a lot of visits and a lot of treatment. I don't feel like I need all of that. And it becomes very expensive because of that. So yeah, it's finances and it's also like work and time.
Okay. When you say work and time, you mean the patient has too much work going on, they don't have time for care?
Yeah, like that it takes too much time away from like their work week and they can't really get out of work in order to come for their treatment.
Okay. So let's take another look. Dr. Tim, Renee, Jessica, what do you guys say to handle the patient's too busy, they can't take that time out of their work day?
First, find out their work hours. Your hours of the operation may exceed their work hours. If they work from 7 to 3 and you're open until 6, depending on how long it takes them to get here, that'll be 2 to 3 hours worth of time where they can get treatment in. If they work from 7 to 7, what time do you take lunch? You know, our office for our patients has changed our lunch hour. Instead of 12 to 2, we're 1 to 3. That way patients can come in that 12 to 1 o'clock hour to get treatment while they're on their lunch break. If you can make the time for us, we'll make the time for you.
The other thing I think, which you guys probably already know because you guys have pretty good, close percentages and everything, and I actually forgot what it was. Oh, the spouse, right? So a lot of times the spouse will, having them there present, the schedule with this, like my wife and my schedule and her schedule, she will make things happen for my schedule. If she's like, oh, I can watch the kids then, or I can take them to practice. If you go do your appointments, you need to do this. And so, for me, I've got, my schedule is kind of busy, but like if I didn't have my wife to help me out, man, my schedule would be a mess. And so, I think that's a good one to help with schedules too. And then, yeah, it's got to be the, more value, like what's more valuable to them, it's always going back to that ruin.
Very good. All right. All right, let's take a look at Dr. On. I'm definitely happy to have you guys join us today, you and Michelle. So what is the number one objection you guys are getting, or what are some of the objections that, if there's any that we haven't covered yet that you guys are running into or struggling with on closing care plans for your patients?
Yeah, I'm struggling with patients saying they only want to do what their insurance covers.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't want to do the elongated, like additional physical therapy benefits or any of the additional visits. And they're like, I'll come back next year and do the whatever visit allows for the insurance company. That's what I'm. How would you handle that?
Ask them what they've tried in the past. If they've tried even chiropractic on its own, physical therapy on its own, massage on its own, and it hasn't worked, there's got to be a reason. There's something going on that one on its own isn't working. So we combine everything together because we want to focus on your whole body. We want to fix the root of the problem. We don't want to have to see you keep coming back to go into a care plan. We want to get you through this time period, get you to where you should be, feeling how you should feel, pain-free. That way we can get you to maintenance and you don't have to worry about keep trying things to get rid of the pain.
One more thing I would add to this that every single person in America knows is I will ask them at seminars, I'll ask them in the room too, I ask them, I say, does your insurance company, do they care about your health? They don't, right? And no, we all know that, but the patients all know it too. And so say, so if you quit paying your premium, is your insurance company going to feel bad for you and still say, no, you need to get care? They're not. They care about one thing and one thing only. These are for-profit companies. They're there to make money. So they're designed to pay as little as possible towards your health. So if you want to do what's best for your health, should you listen to your insurance company or your doctor? What do you think?
Hey, Malad, this is Quentin calling you back. Could you give me a
So
call?
that's been a big point for us, for me anyway, because all the patients know that. They know that their insurance company doesn't care about their health. So I say, we're not going to go based off of what your insurance company recommends because they don't care about your health. They're trying to give you as little benefits as possible. And if you let people sit and kind of ponder on that and think on that a little bit, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I guess not. And that has helped a lot when we bring that point up. And I don't mind making the insurance companies the villain because they really are. I mean, look at how many billions of profits they make, and they're not helping people a whole lot. We're helping a lot more people.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
That helps.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Let's go down to Dr. David. What do you got as the, one of the main objections you guys run into that you have trouble handling in your office?
Well, I think everything that I have to deal with has already been gone over. I'm in Canada, so it's a little different insurance situation. I'm kind of lucky because I'm total cash. So we have no government. We have what's called extended health benefits, so that will kind of top up their care, but I'm pretty much cash, and people come in knowing they're going to be spending money. The only, and you don't need to know this, but a year or two ago, my college changed where we could not do care plans. So I can only charge on a per visit. I'll go over how many times you're going to come in. So my closing rate is extremely high, but I really have to stay on top of them to have them follow through with the care plan.
Sure. Do you have any trouble getting people to follow through on care after you essentially close them?
I would say generally no. I think probably 90% of them are very good. There's 10% that we just have to keep an eye on. But no, I think they're quite good.
Awesome. Okay, great. And then got Kathy down there. I don't know if your mic is working. Do you have the ability to talk with us? Nope, doesn't look like it. All right. And then ATHC, I know I didn't see anything in the chat in terms of if you guys had any specific objections that haven't been covered yet, or if there's anything else that you guys wanted to add into that. If so, you can go ahead and throw in the chat. If not, that's okay. With that being said, is there anybody else who has another objection they thought of as I was going through others? Yeah.
So here's the new one for me is I'm getting a lot of 30-year-olds, 28 to 30 that are now getting married. They're having big financial stuff that's happening in their life. And I'm trying to hit that, you don't want to wait too long to hit this, but I'm having a lot of backlash on I'm getting ready to have a massive wedding. I can't afford to pay $2,000 or $3,000 for care. And I feel like I've hit all the objections I can by saying, you can't just put your life on hold because of one event, but I do need a little help because I've had a little backlash, even being as close as friends of the doctor and still saying, I just can't do this right now.
So, I said earlier, why'd you come in first? Why'd you come in?
Yeah.
Is what Tim, I think, said, Dr. Steflik said earlier. Why did they come in the first place now if you got all this going on?
Do you have anything more to add to that? Dr. Steflik or Renee or Jessica?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go back, you got to put an urgency behind it too, right? So the reason that they're giving you, it's a Grant Cardone close where it's all the more reason to be doing it, right? So if it's a wedding or if it's something big and expensive, well, hey, do you want to dance at your wedding? Do you want to, whatever, buying a house, do you want to be able to work on it and fix it up? Or, like those are the reasons why they need to get fixed up a lot of the times. And, it's got to be an urgency of, you have to have the urgency of doing it, right? If there's no urgency behind it, like, oh, he's 30, you know, this will be fine for 10 years and then I'll address it, or 5 years when I'm in a better financial situation. Well, we know the truth is 5 years it's going to be worse off. And I would share examples and stories of other patients who have waited and now they're worse off. We have neuropathy patients, you know, they wait 6 months, they wait a year, and then they don't get good results. Or a stem cell patient, you know, she waited like 6 months to make a decision. She finally did it. And I know she's not getting as good results if she would have just done it right from the beginning. And so why would you wait if you know there's a solution? You know, you can ask it rhetorically that way and they know the answer, right? There's no reason to wait.
Good. And to add on to that with what Dr. Shim was saying there, we have this course, some of you guys have already taken it, the Master Closer course. And there's an article in there called Problem Agitation Solution. I know it's hard to see because I've got the blurry background, but just to give you a little excerpt here, you know, the first step is to define the patient's problem. It may be a problem he knows he has, or maybe he doesn't know. The second step is to agitate that problem. This is where you inject emotion into the formula by stirring up the prospect's emotional responses to the problem with more questions and statements. And the third step is to, of course, then come in with questions regarding solutions and how your products and services will accomplish that. An example that they give here as the agitation portion is if you have this example is for selling shoes, so it doesn't quite apply, but it's also very similar. In which case he says, though you may not realize it, bad shoes can cause quite a few problems in your golden years. Fallen arches, intense lower back pain, incredible discomfort in golf or tennis shoes, even pain from just walking around the mall. You'll be telling your friends to slow down so you can keep up. You'll be pointlessly soaking your feet every night, and you may even need pain pills just to fall asleep. So when you do have objections like that, where somebody's saying, well, I want to wait, or it's not that big of a deal, or I'll do this instead, whatever it is going on, that problem agitation solution formula works very well to get that person to see what's going to happen if they don't actually handle the issue now, because here's what's going to happen in the future, right? So that's also another key point to handling situations like that. All right.
Mindy, can I ask a question?
Let's start with Jen, and then Maria will go right to you.
Okay. I had a quick question. What do you guys do in your office? So obviously everybody still offers chiropractic care, and a lot of people are getting referred to your offices from chiropractic patients. What about when you present this whole care plan and then they say, no, I just want to start out with doing some adjustments and see if this helps? Do you allow them to just come in and get adjustments and then hope then they will realize that they need more and maybe do the care plan? Or would you just say, no, you have to start out with doing this care plan, otherwise you just won't? What do you do in that situation?
We do so typically when we present, if you guys, just one guy I really like and follow on social media and podcast is Alex Hormozi, ALEX Hormozi, HORMIZI. He's got a couple of really good books out there and tons of free content. But he was a gym owner, and so he's really good at selling. And they have to sell people on plans, so he's got a lot of stuff on selling that's really good, and business acquisition stuff. And one of his key points is always presenting a good, better, best to a patient. And so that's three options, right? So we always present at least the better, which is our physical medicine care plan. Best would be throw in some stem cells, because it's not going to hurt anybody. It's only going to help them, no matter what their condition is, right? It's the one medicine that you give more of to a patient, it's better for them. And then you could have good would be hey, it's chiropractic only. And if you're presenting them to them with we present usually the better, unless it's hey, they're coming in for stem cells and we know that's what they need, we'll present it to them that way. But if you present it to them as a good, better, best, most people want what's at least better or best. they don't want to do like the low option. Like it's like, oh, that's your basic plan, you know. If there's people that come in and do that though, we still take them as patients because those ones get into car accidents. They see other people talking about the other services when they're in the office. You know, it's a pretty open treatment area. Hey, what's that machine? What's this doing? What's that? You know, and so I feel like those are also good marketers. They can participate in our internal referrals. So yeah, we allow it, but we want the majority, 65, 70% of our patients doing that middle plan. Some of the ones who you didn't even think were going to be doing stem cells might end up doing it because it's offered to them. You know, you're never going to know unless you offer it to them. So just, I guess our mentality on that is, yeah, there's going to be a small percentage, 10, 15% that might do chiropractic only, but they still benefit our office even if they're not our high dollar type patients, you know. So I don't know if that was a good answer or not, but that's what we do, and it seems to work okay for us.
Awesome. That answers your question, Jen? Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what we do too. I was just wondering if like we were wrong in doing that. I wanted to hear somebody else's opinion. Thank you.
Good. All right, then Maria, I know you had a question as well.
Yeah. So sometimes I feel like when people come with objections and we come back with these questions like, well, what do you think it's going to feel like in 5 years if you don't do this? Or, you know, well, you know, you have a wedding, so don't you think that you need to be out of pain? I have found that it's so hard for me to ask those questions because I feel so pushy. And I really don't want patients to leave feeling like, geez, they were just giving me a sales pitch. And we've had quite a bit of that. And we've had a lot of like not a lot. We've had several bad reviews and also people like giving us feedback. Like I just felt like it was so salesy. And then I feel like they're out in the community telling other people, oh, they're super salesy, they're really expensive, don't go there. And we've even had people say, like, yeah, I want to bring my kid in, but I don't want them to sell me a whole plan. So I'm just not gonna even come. So I've been having this real dilemma of like these tools, but how do you like walk somebody through those questions and those thought processes while being like a partner, not like now I'm trying to push you in to saying yes to this plan and I'm trying to sell you something.
Sure.
Yeah, totally valid feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we've all felt something like that at some point. I had the same feeling when I first started presenting any care plan to a patient.
Mm-hmm.
Because before I wasn't doing care plans. Before TBA, I was just like, yeah, come in, pay at the counter, right? And then I was like, oh, yeah, this is cool, but I don't want to feel like I'm pushing it on them. Let me try this report of findings method.
And it sounds like there's a little bit.
And then people would pay up front, right, for the care, and they would be happy. They were super happy, right? I was like, this is amazing. This is great. And, you know, I was doing probably some smaller care plans and stuff, but it was my limiting belief that I had that I was pushing them, right? Now, if you're getting some feedback, some negative feedback from either patients or other people, there's probably something that you need to change a little bit, right? You got to withdraw. So if there's ever a push, you got to withdraw, right? So physically withdraw and mentally withdraw from whenever they feel like, if you're feeling that they're pushing too much, then it's, you know, you move your body back. You can even kind of cross your arms or kind of put your hands up and like, well, I don't think that you wanted, I'm really sorry you feel this way. That's not our intent at all. And then just stay in interest with the person, right? So that's part of that master sales course too, is stay at high interest of helping that person. And if you stay at high interest the whole time, like you're interested in them and you're interested in their care and you're interested in helping them and you're not interested in the money at all, right? Take the money off the table. Like I'm just interested in helping you and caring about that person, then they will feel that you're there for the right reasons and it's not for the money. So, and I know you're like that, right? I know all of us here are, you know, we're all ethical, honest people, but I've had that happen before too. People come in, they think it's all about the money. They think it's a sales pitch and they, you know, you just have to withdraw. And if they're in that position, you just have to stay in high interest. And sometimes those ones are better left walking out the door if they're not going to, if they can't see that true interest and care that you have and they can't feel it, then yeah, you probably don't even want to go any further with them. You know, you have to kind of withdraw and stay in that place until they're, I wouldn't move forward and keep pushing somebody like that if they're having that type of reaction. Yeah, people walk out. I mean, quite a bit, you know, but we're doing it, if we're doing it from a place of care and interest and showing that we, you know, we love our people and our community, and like, I get happy and sad based off of our patients because we do care, right? But if they feel that, then I'm not worried at all. You know, and I know my case managers are the same way. Like case managers and doctors, they're all the same way. So I don't worry about that at all. If somebody walks out, I'm like, that's on them. You know, we're trying to help. So I don't know if that was helpful at all. It's kind of a ramble of my thoughts on that, but
Makes
yeah.
sense.
One of the things I noticed too is that when like the providers and stuff are doing the exams, when the providers are showing that they care, it goes a long way, like to explain to the patients, you know, you're going to become part of our family. Everybody in this building is here because they want to see you get better because they care about you as a person. And I actually say that to a lot of my patients if I see hesitation, like you're not just a patient, you're going to be part of the Coastal family. We're going to, you walk in the door, everyone knows why you're here, what's going on, what treatments you're having done, because we want to get you better. You got to show them you care.
Yeah.
And one more thought, sorry, I just had this too, but you're asking specific questions about like, okay, when I'm asking the question, let's say they put up an objection, you say, well, you know, here's where you're at now, here's where you'll be at in the future, you know, showing them on the x-rays, or what's it going to be like 5 years from now? Those are very high confront type questions, right? So it's not easy to just naturally ask those questions, at least for me, right? That's not something that I can easily just do. But when I just did it, and so if you know, as long as I'm still doing it and I do ask those questions, then I find it does help the patient more, and it becomes easier to ask those questions again and again in the future, right? When I see that it helps more people. So that can help from your mental headspace, or my, you know, whoever's doing it, is just do it, just try it and keep doing it. And yeah, don't let that one bad experience, you can't let that sit with you. There's some training that TBA has on it. You have one bad one to be able to let it go. Because if you don't let that go, it's good. You're going to be off your game for until you fix that.
Reset between every patient.
Yeah.
Good. And then one last point to add on to that is a lot of you guys are familiar with the term we use, ARC. Some of you guys aren't. So to explain what that means, it's affinity, reality, and communication. One key thing that will go a very long way with every patient is really building that up at the beginning when you're getting the patient into the office, right? It doesn't even have to be about the care itself. You can get reality with them if they're wearing a shirt that has a sports team on it that you like, or you notice on their key ring they have a figurine that you are familiar with, or you know, they're just wearing a really nice dress, you know, whatever it is, right? By just talking about that thing and building that little bit more of agreement with the patient, even though it has nothing to do with the care or their care plan or their problems, every little step of building that agreement further will also help them feel less like they're in a sales situation and they're in a you know, a partnership with a person who actually does care about them. Cool. All right, and then I know ATHC had another question. They mentioned that they get the question, why does insurance not cover this when, you know, or I don't pay anything at another office other than my copay. So what do you guys run into when you have, if a patient's asking you, well, why doesn't insurance cover this procedure?
So ATHC also made in the next comment that they explained to them the insurance company wants to dictate. So that's how we handle the insurance, right? It's also, then they say in the next comment, this is what your x-ray shows you need, and you know, prepping on the patient day one that they have to pay out of pocket. So those are great ways to handle that. So I don't know if they answered their own question or if that was in response to that question that somebody else kind of asked as well too. But yeah, if someone says, hey, I don't have to pay anything at any of my other offices when I go for my copay, you know, I may maybe ask them like what type of doctors they're seeing, or just ask some more questions about that, you know, because you know, fortunately for us, I would say, you know, medical care and service is so bad in America, it's not hard to be just a little bit better. They're used to going and waiting for 30 minutes to 2 hours in the waiting room, and then be moved to another room to wait for another 30 minutes to read outdated Teen Vogue magazine from 2019, and then have a nurse come check on them in a cold, sterile room. And then, it's just so bad. And the doctor sees him for 30 seconds, writes a script and says, try this and good luck. We'll see you in a month or 6 weeks, or we can't make another appointment because we're booked. So it's not hard to be a lot better than what those doctors are. And if they're happy paying that copay for that type of service, then, maybe it's not the right place for them. And I'd say not being afraid to turn people away, or understand that we're providing such a better product that they should be willing to pay for it. But I don't know if you guys have something else to add, to say it's just my copay.
Awesome. Okay, good. And I noticed we had a couple of more newcomers. I'm just going to ask them as well. Kathy, I don't know if your mic is working or not, but do you have any questions in terms of, objections that you've been getting recently that you didn't hear covered?
I'll be honest with you. I'm in a different realm of medicine than the rest of you are. So
Right.
I'm a doctor at APRN, so I do no chiropractic or anything like that. My office is a wraparound practice. So it's an integrative practice where I certify in medical cannabis for 2 states. And those patients have been kicked to the curb basically by their primary cares because they aren't comfortable with it. So I've become their primary care cannabis provider. And with that wraparound office, a lot of them have degenerative spinal disorders, migraines. The list is long, and I do plasma-rich platelet injections, wound care, aesthetics, and infusions. So I can do all the PRP. I've been floating in blood basically all my life because I've been doing IVIG, immune gamma globulin, for neuropathy patients and respiratory and rheumatology and all that sort of stuff. So to do PRP, it's easy for me to do. Plus I have all the skills. So when they come in, besides them using the medical cannabis and doing their infusions for their IVIG, I'm suggesting what the next treatment is because a lot of them don't want to go cortisone. So I discuss it. I give them an actual evidence-based journal article specific to them. I give them stories. Mind you, as Mindy knows, I am the only person in my office thanks to COVID. So I am everything. So I start the sale, I'm in the middle of the sale, and I end the sale. There is no day 1 or day 2. It's all in the one procedure for me.
Right.
And as for the insurance, yes, I get that all the time. And I'm fine with it because I do have my credentials in all the insurance companies. So I do humor them and I say, and I mean this in a polite way, I say, yeah, I'll submit for prior auth, but I'm going to be very blunt with you and let you know that insurance will not cover it unless it's a shoulder situation or a knee or something of rare that an orthopedic is recommending. I always send my patients to orthopedic to get approved to make sure that they have had an x-ray because I want to collaborate. Some, not all, I want to say there's only 2 in my area that agree with PRP. So then when the patient comes in, I try to do the best I can. As Mindy and as Daryl both know, I've had troubles, just like the rest of you, trying to put together the cash. I just recently, I have a firefighter that I've been fighting to get this because he's had an ankle surgery that actually was a botched surgery. The surgeon ended up doing an equine with a human surgical procedure on him. So I'm now working with him. I actually closed the sale yesterday. I gave him a hero discount, a substantial one, but that was my choice, but was within legal. And he received his first treatment before he received his IVIG yesterday because I didn't want to take the blood after IVIG already in there. And he came in today for his second day infusion and told me that all of his pain is gone.
Wow.
And he's paying me in payments. So I've sold him on that. And I've also spoke to him today about doing Wharton's jelly as a follow-up within the 5th or 6th week. And he agreed with me. So he'll be putting out for that also. So
that's awesome. Great job.
I did, but that took 2 months worth of constant And as I've been told, my interest level never waxes or wanes because I believe in this professionally and personally, because it came into my life in a personal way for one of my children who were affected. And what was it, last week? I closed the sale within 30 minutes from the beginning that I showed. I even brought the ultrasound in. He has a trigger finger issue. His hands are everything. His neuropathy is in his feet. It would devastate him if his hands were affected. And I closed the sale. He just asked me for insurance purposes to do prior auth. I said, absolutely, I'll submit for prior auth, but I'm only going to submit once. And if it doesn't come through, then it's cash based. This is the price. And what do are you prepared for that answer? And he said, yes. If it comes back and rejects, I'm happy to pay the price.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for sharing with that. We definitely appreciate it. And that's definitely a great job on just continuing that interest and persistence with getting that person closed. That's pretty awesome.
I just stick to what I was taught in my graduate program, where apparently everything that I was taught is really a sales pitch, but I never really looked at it that way. So that's what I've been doing.
Awesome.
So I don't project what you're teaching us in the classrooms in that regimented way. I just use the words medically that I've been told that would be applied, and it's helping me out.
Good. Well, that's great. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
Welcome.
All right. And then we have Georgia Upper Cervical Chiropractic. Are you guys there?
Yes, just also seeing patients. Sorry.
No problem. Did you have, I know you guys came in towards the very end of this, but were there any particular objections that you guys are running into on getting patients closed or getting patients to say yes to care?
Probably just the same thing. Our price is kind of high out of the gate. So then they'll ask if we accept insurance, which we don't. So, I mean, I can say how we explain that. I have pretty high success rate. People find a way.
Sure.
So I tell them that we don't work directly with insurance companies ourselves, but that we can produce a super bill with diagnosis codes and billing codes. And most of my patients who do have chiropractic coverage are able to submit and get at least a partial reimbursement for what they spend with us. And that's when then we just kind of stay still and they accept it or they move along.
Awesome. Okay, good. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and go down to Dr. Ron Mikulski. I hope I said that right. Are you there? All right. So does, we're going to go ahead and be wrapping up shortly, but does anyone else have any other questions that came to mind about any objections that you guys haven't been able to handle, have had trouble handling, that you would like some help with? Okay, good. All right. So, Dr. Steflik, Renee, Jessica, is there anything else you guys would like to just add as a key point, that hasn't been covered in terms of getting a patient to say yes to care?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, we definitely covered a lot here, so I hope that has helped everybody. So just as a reminder, report of findings covers a lot of these different handles that Dr. Tim, that Renee, and that Jessica all went over. Master Closer course covers a lot of those. The communication and closing seminar also goes into those things. So these are all different services and trainings that you guys can take and be a part of to help really master your skills and get to that level of having, the highest close ratio, being able to handle the different objections, and continuing to be able to get patients to say yes to care. So if you have any questions about any of those, definitely speak with Brenna about doing those training classes. And then we do have, for anyone who is over there on that West Coast, we do have the July training center and workshop coming up. It's in Livermore, California. That is next weekend, so July 20th through 23rd. And then for everyone who wants to come down here to Clearwater, we do have the August workshop and 7th Division in August. And that is the 25th and 26th of August. So even if you're on the West Coast, you can come to Florida anyway. We've got sunshine and beaches, so you'll love it. So I definitely enjoyed working with you all today. Let's thank our very awesome guests with Dr. Tim, Renee, and Jessica for helping us out and giving us lots of answers. No, I'm the only one you can hear clapping, but you can see. So thank you guys for your help today. And it was great seeing all of you guys. So if you do have, anything else you want to ask, you can shoot us an email, talk to your coach. We come to the workshop, come to the training center. We love working with each and every one of you, and we definitely hope to see you all here soon. Bye.